Hey, how's it going? Just here to review a movie called Land of Bed, a movie which I watched last night. It's an Amazon Prime film. I've never heard of this movie before, and it stars Russell Crowe and Liam Hemsworth, along with Luke Hemsworth, his real life brother, and they're both the brother of Chris. Big acting family there, and Milo Ventimiglia. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right. You might remember him as Rocky Balboa's son in Rocky Balboa all those years back. But this is a military war action film set in modern day times, and it's another one of those military drone movies. That we've had quite a few of those in the last few years, like Drone starring Sean Bean, and Eye in the Sky starring Helen Mirren and Aaron Paul, I think it was. But anyway, the basic plot of this movie is that Liam Hemsworth plays this Air Force soldier. I think he's an Air Force soldier, and he's teamed up with this bunch of Navy SEALs, and they're sent on this mission in Southeast Asia to rescue this CIA asset. And Russell Crowe plays a drone operator who is far, far away. I think he's on the other side of the world. He's back home in America. And he's operating the drone, which is basically their guardian angel on the mission. And Liam Hemsworth, I think, is the one who's not just operating the drone, but he's in communication with the drone pilot. So anyway, on this mission, things don't go according to plan, and there's this big firefight, and most of the team are wiped out, and Liam Hemsworth survives and is being chased by all the local soldiers. And he's relying on Russell Crowe's character to set up an extraction point. This movie very much reminded me of Lone Survivor, crossed with a little bit of Die Hard, and I'll explain why in a minute. Because Lone Survivor, and the fact that the movie, it's the kind of movie that you don't think that they're making anymore. Because it's a modern day war action film, and it's not shy about its politics. Politics are very much at the background. But this movie is very much not so much about a rescue mission, but it's about the relationship that develops between Russell Crowe's drone operator, who's on half a world away, and Liam Hemsworth's character, who is a soldier, and he's in this life or death situation. Despite the fact that these two characters never meet face to face in this movie, this relationship develops between the two of them. Because Russell Crowe's character, he's of a certain age and he's still operating these drones. And he says himself in the movie that he should be a general by now, but he's had quite a checkered career, and he's stuck doing this drone duty. And he's on his fourth wife, and wife number four is about to give birth to their next child. He's just doing his latest shift on this drone, and he's expecting to leave in a couple of hours. That's all he's thinking about, is his wife about to go into labor. And of course, when this situation develops, and when Liam Hemsworth's character gets into trouble and they can't extract him immediately, Russell Crowe's character has to kind of talk him through and calm him down. And because basically these drone pilots are like the guardian angels of these soldiers who are on the ground. Because these drone pilots are safe back at base. They're basically in a small office operating these drones. There's a life or death situation going on because these drones are armed and they have to provide backup and support, not just surveillance, but they actually have to fire missiles and get involved in the battle. But they're safe, whereas the soldiers who are on the ground are in a life or death situation. And Russell Crowe is, despite the fact that his shift is over, he decides to stay in the chair and monitor this situation and try to talk to Liam Hemsworth, who's not an experienced soldier at all. And like I said, this friendship kind of develops between the two of them, despite the fact that they never meet face to face in the movie. So I found this movie surprisingly very engaging. I'd never heard of this movie before. I was literally going through Amazon Prime looking for something to watch, and I came across this, saw who was in it. And like I do sometimes with movies I had never heard of, I look up IMDb to see what people are generally saying about it. And the reviews were quite positive, actually. I generally don't trust mainstream critics anymore as far as reviews are concerned. This is one of those diamonds in the rough because, I've never heard of this movie before, and it's one of the best war action movies I've seen in the last few years. And there's not many of those being made these days. These days there's a lot of superhero movies being made, or Star Wars or Marvel movies being made, but there's very few action. Well, there are action films being made, but there's very few war movies being made. It's very much about brotherhood and the relationships that are forged in war. And I know I'm probably going to get slaughtered for saying this, but this is a real men's film because it's both men on a mission. And there's like one female character who's also operating the drone pilot with Russell Crowe's character. But this movie is very fascinating, and it's interesting how war movies have evolved along with technology. Because as I said, you have the soldiers who are on the ground, and you have the drone operators who are safe, but they're still very much involved in this life and death situation. And there comes a certain point when Liam Hemsworth's character is in danger, and it looks like he has no way out. Russell Crowe's superior comes in and says, "Look, your shift is over hours ago. You need to leave and let someone else relieve you." And Russell Crowe, despite the fact that his wife is about to go into labour, he has to go to the hospital. He develops this relationship with Liam Hemsworth's character so much that he basically says, "No, I'm staying here. You can't drag me away. I'm going to see this through and make sure this soldier gets home." And it's interesting because these two characters couldn't be more different. Liam Hemsworth is a young soldier at the start of his career. Russell Crowe's character is someone who's far into his career. Speaking of Russell Crowe, actually, this is the best thing I've seen him do in ages, because he's gotten older. Look, we all get older. It's kind of frightening to see how large he's after getting, but he's still a fantastic actor. I mean, I know it's easy to mock him because he's got this reputation for getting angry at interviews, but he's a really, really solid actor. And he's really suited to this. And Liam Hemsworth, all the Hemsworth actually, like Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth, they've done great work. And they're both very similar. I mean, in fact, there's a certain point in this movie where Liam Hemsworth's character is in such bad shape, he's covered in blood, that he looks identical to his brother Chris. Milo Ventimiglia is, I can't pronounce that guy's name, it's so hard to pronounce, but he's a fellow soldier. He's kind of the leader of this mission. He's got a good role in this too. I mean, he's not in it very much, because this movie really centers on Russell Crowe and Liam Hemsworth's characters. And yeah, it's one of the best war action movies I've seen in the last few years. I mean, some of the fight scenes and battle scenes in this reminded me of Lone Survivor. So if you liked Lone Survivor, you're really going to enjoy this. And I find the whole focus on the technology aspect of it, of these drones, the fact that the drones are basically these soldiers' guardian angels. They're not just for surveillance, but they're actually involved in battle. Because there's certain points in this movie where firefights break out. Liam Hemsworth calls for backup, and Russell Crowe is sending in Hellfire missiles. It's a very, very exciting film, but despite all the great action, all the great special effects, what really makes this movie work is like I said, the relationship between Russell Crowe's character and Liam Hemsworth's character. And it kind of reminded me in a way of the original Die Hard, in that fact that Bruce Willis's character, John McClane, had this relationship with Al Powell, the policeman who was on the ground outside the building that Bruce Willis was trapped in. And despite the fact that they never met until the end of the movie, that's what really makes the movie work, is the friendship that develops between them. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend Land of Bad. The only thing is that that's such a terrible title. I mean, Land of Bad is such a nondescript title, but don't let the nondescript title and the fact that this movie has just come out of nowhere put you off. This is an Amazon Prime exclusive. If I'd seen this movie on the big screen, I would have felt I got my money's worth. So I thoroughly recommend this film. If you're into war movies, action movies, this is a movie that I recommend very, very much. So have you seen Land of Bad? Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. If you like this video, please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.